Okay, my last example for this particular lesson here, I want to review one more time how to move files from a local machine up to my web server. Okay, so I've finished my work here. I feel like I have a pretty good web page put together. I'm going to close it off, and I'll get a little message here. Do you want to save it? And yeah, I'll save it. Okay. Remember, I've stored it here in the Unit 2 folder. All right, and there's example 2. And if I want to run it, I can double click on it, or if I'm kind of particular, I choose the right web browser here. I'll run mine in Chrome. That's a kind of a nifty idea as well, is to run your, test your web page in more than one web browser and see if you come up with some different results. All right. So anyways, I'll close that off. Oops, I don't know how I got Skype there. And I'll pull up, I'm going to minimize this for a second. I'll pull up my portable apps. Whoops, not Cam Studio. Where am I looking for? Here's FileZilla. Okay, so I'll get my FileZilla up and running here. Okay, and I'll go find, here's my, I might have to navigate through this, and again, excuse my tiny screen here, but more optimal for what we're doing today. And I got to connect to my remote site. Then I want to take example 2.htm and put it over here, and then we'll review file paths and all that. Okay, so I have this in Unit 2 here, and I want to put it in Unit 2 on my remote site. And remember, I kind of set up my site manager, and I could just go ahead and, without having to put all my authentication information in there, can very quickly and efficiently connect up. Okay, so I'm on my students subdirectory, and here's my folder. And down here is Unit 2, so I'll open that up. Alright, and then I want to take my example 2.htm, and I'll just move that across, and I'll just use a drop and drag. There's more than one way of doing that, but let's drop and drag it over there. Okay, so there it is. And now the trick gets to be, what's the URL for that? And if you look right up here, my directory is, it's on the E drive here, but really this, everything to the left of where my cursor is, left being this side, is the HTTP, that's the web server, and everything to the right is the path after that. Okay, so I'm going to go to students.umt.edu/students/tg, my net ID /unit2/example2.htm. You notice the path there? So now, kind of look at that before I pull up my web browser and type that big, long, ugly thing in. Believe me, before we're done with this, we'll find a much more optimal way of doing this. But this is, I think, a nice way. Actually, it's not nice, but it's a methodology for you to kind of understand some file management. Okay, so I'll go to the website there. Okay, and then my path, again, it's students, and then I have to put my net ID. I kind of take shortcuts on this once I've done this, and then I go to Unit 2, and now I want to pull up example 2.htm. And remember, we had this discussion about the disadvantages of spaces, and kind of being simplistic in our file naming, don't make them too long, etc. Well, here's why. We got this big, huge name here. Okay, now here's my big chance, right? I got to hit enter, and hopefully I did that correctly, and of course I did. And that shows me where example 2 is. All right. The other last thing I wanted to show you here, and again, I think one of the big difficulties once you get rolling with this is the process known as debugging. In other words, you get some little error in here, and like something doesn't show up right. Now, and you can't fix it once it's on the server. Server is published. It's like printing a magazine. It's gone until you delete it and do it again. But on my local machine here, let's pull up my example 2 here, and let's make a mistake and just see how hard it is to get it changed. Okay, so I'll close off FileZilla here. I'll minimize this. Let me pull up go to my tools here and find my Notepad++. Fire that guy up, and so that still pulls up the last file I was working on. Let's say I missed something really, really simple here. I forgot to close my tag. Alright, so I got a tag here to boldface HTML, and then I never close it again. I never finish it off. Okay, so I save it. I pull up my folder here. So I pull up example 2. Let me pull up my web browser. Oh, actually, I already have it open my web browser somewhere here. It's a bad habit of getting too many windows open. But here it is, okay? And I can just refresh it. And I look and it's like, well, wait a minute. I just want to bold HTML. Why is all this other stuff bold? All right. And to use a couple tools here, first thing you do is I can go in here to Web Developer and look at my source. There's something really obvious here. And one of the nice things that it does is this different color font. And you see how there's real ugly and really evident here that there's these reds that are not, you know, they're out of order. Okay, and I can start by tracing. It's kind of like a mystery here a little bit. Where is the missing tag? And the missing tag's right here at the B, but I can start, it's going to be somewhere above here. All right, and I can go back and look and say, all right, I did not close the bold. All right. Another tool we can use, all right, the validator. Remember the validator? Let's go back to the validator. And I'll do a direct input, and let me pull up my text, and I'll do a Control-All, copy. Let's see what the validator does when I do this. So I paste this in here, and the validator should give me an error. And yeah, I have one error, and what's nice about the validator is it usually tells me what line it's on. It says line 19, column 4, and tag for B omitted. Alright, well, let's go back over to my text file. It said line 19, is that correct? Line 19, column 4. Alright, so line 19, we go back and look at line 19, it's down here, right? You're saying, oh, wait a minute, that's line 19. Why? Well, before you can close your paragraph, you have to close your B. You have to, that's nested inside, and that's why the error shows up there, that we never closed off the B. All right, so that helps us out because we can say we can close off every other. Whoops, don't want to close that off. Excuse me. Go down here. Okay. But I can, it's in here. Do you see how this little hash mark here and here? It's somewhere in this particular paragraph that I created.